once we have our stories done, we need to make sure that other people can read them and know what they're about. So we're going to start writing some headlines for them. Let's see how we do it. So the headline is really the single most important thing you can do in publishing to be successful, to get people to read your story. I've given you this. This is arguably one of the most famous headlines ever, Headless Body and Topless Bar. It's the first way to grab readers, and it's often the last. So a lot of people only read the headlines when we're looking at a print publication. And if they're not pulled in by it, there's very little chance they're going to read the story. So, are they supposed to be clever? Are they supposed to be concise? Really, the style is under debate, and we're going to look at the differences between print and web. Print can be pithy in ways that online can't. It can be factual with some sort of flair. And remember, more than 80% of print readers only read the headlines. So what do headlines do? They show the reader the focus of the story. Here's a great headline, just 4 letters, but it tells us a lot. This is actually Eliot Spitzer, who was governor of New York in a pretty big sex scandal. So that's he and his wife, and you get the point. So sometimes you can have this abstract sentence that conveys this complete thought, and really it's just it's how you can grab your readers in. So the most important thing you can do before you write one is to read the story and make sure you understand it. The headline should be based on the main idea of the story. It should be found in the nut or the lead. And we need to really understand the story before we write the headline. And if you can't understand the story enough to write a quality headline, then it needs to go back to the writer because it needs to have some pretty serious editing done. So, this is pretty clever, not very complicated, but small step for man, giant gaffe for NASA. So, of course, a play on the famous line of one small step for man, one step for mankind. But notice that we take out the to be verbs. So we take out is, are, was, were. It's usually present tense verbs for headlines, even though there may be past or present events. And then we use the infinitive form of the future, so to go or to run. These are just stylistically what we do with headlines. Another thing that we do in print headlines specifically is we take out articles, a and the. So notice this one, underwear bandit caught admits brief crime spree. So we didn't admit a brief crime spree, and you get the point. It's pretty clear. Now these are all the rules that we had as they applied to print. However, then came the internet and the rules have changed. And so you'll notice that now we just see the headline, and that has changed because in the past you had the headline along with a picture or some copy, but now people don't have the privilege of that. So we need to see how we can make the headlines as specific as possible, yet still entertain people. And really what they've been called, the editor of Newsweek.com called them naked little creatures. And that's what they are. They kind of hang out. And so look at a headline here with the Wall Street Journal. It's over. What have we learned? I don't know what it is. I'm not really compelled to click on this thing. And compare that to the real reason for the tragedy of the Titanic. I understand exactly what we're talking about there. So I can click on that if I'm interested in the topic, but I have enough information. And a lot of this is all about search engine optimization. So, the web is a very big place, and for some search engine like Google to find your story, it has to be able to find it using search terms that are in the metadata. So, headlines are there to get the search engines to notice you. So, we have to make sure that we're triggering as much of that optimization as we can. So, something like the term Beach Force One might work in print if there's a picture of Air Force One landing on Miami Beach, but it's really not going to work as a web headline. So, this is an example of some web headlines and how they appear as links. You only have one opportunity to grab the reader. And, you can be your own judge. Are these things that will grab the reader? They may not be very long. I mean, these are, some of these are only 4 words long, but even 3, earthquake hits volcano. I don't even know where that is, but, I'm compelled to click on it because it's kind of an interesting story. Then you get the gift of a story like this, man forced to eat his own beard. That is exactly what it implies. That's a very factual headline. And the goal is, if a reader's only going to read 5 or 10 words, will he or she know what this article's about? I think they definitely would here. This headline was the same both in print and on the web, as you might guess. But a lot of times we'll have 2 different headlines. So one will be on the article and one will be on a web page. So in this case, there's an article title, is what you show your readers. And I've given you this one from the Wall Street Journal, White House party crashers cause a hangover. And then the search engine underneath it is Obama asked for review after these 2 people crashed White House state dinner. So these are actually one's on the page and one's the actual article headline. So the search engines are looking at the page headline and they're able able to find what they need, specifically Obama, the names, the Salahi family, the White House, the dinner, all of those things.